A reading from the second letter of St. Paul to the Thessalonians. We ask you, brothers and sisters, with regard to the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our assembling with him, not to be shaken out of your minds suddenly, or to be alarmed either by a spirit or by an oral statement, or by a letter allegedly from us, to the effect that the day of the Lord is at hand. Let no one deceive you in any way. To this end, he has also called you through our gospel, to possess the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, brothers and sisters, stand firm and hold fast to the traditions that you were taught, either by an oral statement or by a letter of ours. May our Lord Jesus Christ himself and God our Father, who has loved us and given us everlasting encouragement and good hope through his grace, encourage your hearts and strengthen them in every good deed and word. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, "The Lord comes to judge the earth." Say among the nations, "The Lord is king. He has made the world firm, not to be moved. He governs the peoples with equity. The Lord comes to judge the earth. Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice. Let the sea and what fills it resound. Let the plains be joyful and all that is in them. Then shall all the trees of the forest exult. The Lord comes to judge the earth. Before the Lord, for he comes to rule the earth. He shall rule the world with justice and the peoples with his constancy. The Lord comes to judge the earth.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You pay tithes of mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier things of the law, judgment and mercy and fidelity. But these you should have done without neglecting the others. Blind guides who strain out the gnat and swallow the camel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You cleanse the outside of cup and dish, but inside they are full of plunder and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee, cleanse first the inside of the cup, so that the outside also may be clean." The Gospel of the Lord.
August 28th, the Memorial of St. Augustine. The first reading is from 2 Thessalonians 2, 1-3a and 14-17. This passage deals with the end of the world. As I said yesterday, one of the major themes of 2 Thessalonians is the end of the world. And one of the difficulties is that people are coming into the community saying that they're inspired by a spirit or some oral statement and claiming that the end of the world was at hand. This phenomena happens very often whenever there's a time of moral decay, whenever there's an economic crisis or a war. You'll have people predicting that the end of the world is at hand. And the author of this letter, probably not Paul, but maybe one of his disciples, says, don't let them deceive you. Follow the tradition that you learned from us. Now, the word tradition, it's very interesting that that word would be used. That wouldn't be a word used by Paul himself, because when Paul preached it, he didn't consider it tradition. It didn't have enough antiquity yet. But by the time this letter is written, Paul's teachings have already become tradition, something that has a certain weight, a certain value. The Gospel is from Matthew 23, 23-26. We hear another two woes upon the Pharisees and the scribes. They pay tithes on mint and dill, and neglect the weightier things of the law, judgment, mercy, and fidelity. Mint and rue are herbs, and these people take 1/10 of the herb that they were going to use and give it to the temple. It would be like counting out grains of salt or grains of pepper and giving 1/10 to the church. It's a little bit scrupulous. What does Jesus say at the end of the first woe? You strain out the gnat and swallow the camel. Notice what an absurd example this is. It's similar to the example of a camel passing through a needle's eye, that often Jewish people in antiquity would use exaggerated phrases to get the point across. They're missing the point of the law, to be people of compassion, of justice, of humility. Likewise, the second woe, you clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you're full of plunder and self-indulgence. They're very scrupulous in terms of ritual purity, of cleaning dishes, of making sure that they're not polluted in some way. But their hearts, they give in to their evil desires. And again, this is a reminder to all of us that what really needs to be converted is not the small picayune things. We shouldn't get scrupulous, but rather we should convert our hearts. And may God bless us.